we'll be talking about uh, how to have pure air, more oxygen in the air, how to attract the birds and butterflies. Yeah. So the objectives for today's talk is to get to know the rationale behind the balconies. Why balcony gardens? And then discover some of the balconies across the world. Many countries where I've traveled, I've seen, balconies, and they serve different purposes in different places. And historically, too, the role of balcony has been very different to what it is now. Then, of course, we learn a little bit of the basics of balcony gardens, how to maintain them, how to construct them. And then finally, so that you get some ideas on how to work, we will look at some of the theme gardens. Yeah, I would like to, read this quote by Mayor Dizengoff. He was the first mayor of Israel, even before the state of Israel came into being. He says, if we compare the house to the human body, we could say that the windows are the eyes of the house. The bases are the legs of the buildings. The balcony is its smile. And the facade is the spirit, the soul of this human creation. Why do we look at Mona Lisa? Mona Lisa is not a very beautiful person by herself. But what is it that is so beautiful about Mona Lisa? It's her smile. And people give money to go and pay and look at her portrait, her painting. So similarly, it is the balcony which indicates what the insides is. If you're happy inside, you will be smiling all day. If you're unhappy, then you will have a frown on your face. There's always romance, associated with the balcony. The romance of Rapunzel, if you remember the fairy stories, when we were young, of Gretel, who was kidnapped by a witch and taken into a tower. And she had beautiful long hair. And then she sees a prince and he falls for her, looking up at her. And then he climbs up to see her with the help of her hair, the long tresses that she had. Even Romeo and Juliet, there's a great controversy saying in Italy in those days, there were no balconies. But the balcony scene is the most famous of Romeo and Juliet. Then, of course, we have the modern British monarchy, where, you see late Diana, Princess Diana and Charles kissing on the balcony and so on. It has continued. The tradition has continued to Harry and Meghan. And also another very important thing is you have the Pope giving darshan from the balcony. So very great events have taken place on the balconies. In many Hindi movies, we can see, a boy and a girl living in adjacent houses, talking to each other on the tin can phone. When we were young, we had these tin cans. We would put it in our ear and mouth, and then there was a little wire attached, and you could speak and communicate. So the balcony was always romantic and associated with romance. And those days, balconies had creepers. Now, how did they landscape the balconies? They never grew any plants on the balcony, but rather they grew it below in the ground and they trained them up into the balcony. So you had in India, even now, we can do that. Many people in Warden Road and other places, there are these creepers, very old creepers of Krishna Kamal, Bougainvillea, passion flower. All these are grown in the ground and then they come up to your balconies and you enjoy their fragrance. If it is a jasmine or passion flower or honeysuckle, you enjoy their fragrance or their colors. I started this balcony garden, this course is because of architect Jyoti Pendharkar. In my last class on beverages made out of flowers, she suggested, she asked a question about balcony gardens, and Anita immediately said, why not have a class? So what is a balcony garden? What is the purpose of a balcony garden? What is the ethos behind it? It is not just for you. the garden is also an environmental status. It must improve the environment, the nature and the environment of the surrounding places. So it should be like a reversible jacket. If you see on the top left hand corner, we have a pink jacket, but it can be worn inside out. And when you wear it inside, it's gray and pink, equally attractive. So the balcony must be equally attractive. It should be very pleasant to the residents inside the house as well as passers by. If you're living on the eighth floor, how can you make your balcony plants attractive to the people on the street? Because, for them, when they look up, they will see everything in a miniature form. So you need to use bright colors, yellows, oranges, reds. These are very visible to the eye. Previously, when we used to design our babies, children's rooms, we would either paint them blue if it's a boy or a pink if it's a girl. But today, they say painted sunshine yellow, because babies, they cannot see color. They cannot see very clearly when they're very young. It takes them a little couple of, days or sometimes even a month to see vividly. But yellow, bright yellow is a color they can easily look at. So that is why when you are putting plants, have large flowers like the hibiscus, the Hawaiian hibiscus, or the yellow allamanda, or even, exora, which comes in bunches. The flowers are tiny, but in a bunch, it seems as though these hundreds of little flowers are one big flower. So try and put flowers which come in bunches, which have got bright colors, and also have foliage, which is big, like palm leaves. Palm leaves are huge, especially the table palm and the Prichadia palm. These have got huge leaves, very bold leaves. And also monstera and philodendrons. There is also the giant money plant whose leaves are very large and bold and easily visible from the ground. So even when you have vertical gardens, you can see over here some pots growing from the bottom right up to the ceiling. So this is also once again eye level for the residents of the place, and even for the visitors from outside, it looks very attractive. So similarly, we must share the joy, because sharing your joy not only to yourself, your own inmates in the house, but also with others is a double joy. Create fun and comfortable places for leisure and work. There are so many uses, multiple functions in a balcony. You can sit and have a cup of tea. You can exercise. When I look out of my window, I see an elderly couple. First, the lady, she exercises. She must be in her 70s, and she does very good bending exercises, stretching exercises. And then her husband joins her. Of course, he doesn't do such rigorous exercise, but nevertheless, he also is exercising. I can watch it from my room window. And also make comfortable spaces. If you see on the extreme right top, you can see the lady working with plants. This table is like a desk. In fact, her chair can go underneath, inside, and she can stretch her legs below the table and work with comfort at a sitting level. She doesn't have to bend. She doesn't have to kneel on her kneel down. So it's much easier for her to work, much more comfortable. So live in the moment. Remember your age. Your handicaps, whether you are, have got arthritis or your eyesight is poor. So remember, and then live for the moment, enjoy, savor the pleasures, and make yourself comfortable. Unless we are comfortable, we can never be happy, we can never have joy or enjoy anything. What happened during COVID-19? They said 20 million people across the world became first-time gardeners because they could not go out. So here you see celebrities, Saif Ali Khan and his little son. And you can see